Hey there, Tamir from Fibonacci.com. You're welcome for my top stocks to watch for the coming week. So like, subscribe, and without any further ado, let's see the charts. It's time to sit back, relax, and set alerts on the chart. Pay attention to Rivian, which went up 25% last Friday. Did we miss out on Rivian? The answer is no. Notice where Rivian came from. It was once around 180. Prices often return to past levels. That 25% increase could lead to further gains, possibly reaching $18. It also has gaps to close around 2080 and 2003. It hasn't broken out yet. Let's see if it can break this trend line. Last Friday's candle barely broke through the downward trend line, leading Rivian into a downtrend since July 2023. So, if we look at Rivian, that 25% increase it had last Friday could lead to further gains, and it might even reach 18 downs. It also has a few gaps it needs to close around 2080 and 2003, and it still hasn't broken out yet. Let's see if it can break this trend line. Notice that the candle from last Friday barely broke through this downward trend line that's been leading Rivian into a downtrend since July 2023, starting from around $23, and it still hasn't broken out. Let's see if it can break this trend line. Notice that the candle from last Friday barely broke through this downward trend line that's been leading Rivian into a downtrend since July 2023. From 20 to 23, a year and a half of a downward trend, last Friday was an attempt to break out. One candle doesn't change the overall and longer term trend, and it doesn't matter what the size of the candle is. We want to see continuity, as mentioned, above 16.65. We're on our way to 18, 19, and to close that gap at 23. Now, iRobot at 21, iRobot at 21, iRobot. This stock, IRBT, just wiped out, if you can say it that way, all the short sellers last Friday. 21. Robot Island 21. Robot Island Rob. This one, IRBT, also simply cleaned out, so to speak, all the shorters last Friday. It is also slightly down 25%. It is also still below the trend line. A long decline was reported. Notice the downtrend with lower lows now shifting to higher lows since November. A trend line shows price convergence and consolidation. A breakout above $10, even $10.30, could push higher. The last 55 candles suggest more upside. Wait for a close above 1060 to clear the path to 1315s. Gaps around 1680 make iRobot, NVTS, Navitas, semiconductors worth watching. Other semiconductor stocks exist besides Nvidia and AMD. Focus on NVTS. It rose 14.33% last Friday. If it surpasses last week's high, we're heading to 466, the next resistance. We're rated C in bearish territory, lacking a buy signal. A close above $4 could signal a bullish turn. Towards 1315, there are bodies here in the area of 1680. It's worth paying attention to iRobot, NVTS, Navitas, semiconductors. Yes, there are other semiconductor stocks besides Nvidia and AMD. Pay attention to NVTS. Last Friday, it was up 14.33%. If it continues to rise above last week's high, as mentioned, above Friday's high, we're on our way to 466, which will be the next resistance area. Keep in mind that we're still rated C in bearish territory, and we haven't received the buy signal yet. In my opinion, a close above 4 will give us the buy signal, and we'll turn bullish here. Bullish, in trend, DNA, pay attention to it. Ginkgo, Bioworks, broke through a very strong resistance area. Last Friday, with a 13% increase, reaching $12, which is a Fibonacci resistance, a very strong resistance. You just need to look to the left and understand why the price reaches where it does, because price follows Fibonacci, and it likes to return to areas it has visited before, whether as resistance or support, continuing upward, and we're on our way to 1340 to close that gap around 1416. And Mobileye, which had an 8.4% day last Friday, saw some kind of convergence and sideways movement. The shares of Mobileye came back strongly into play at 1954, which is the support level. If we continue to rise, we're on our way to 2440, and the FTI can also provide us with Trend lines. We've broken through an upward trend, nothing more bullish than breaking an upward trend. Set this to 1618. We've broken the 1618. Everything based on Fibonacci. The FTI is the only system. It's not an indicator. It's an automated system for technical analysis. Without caring about what's written, the stock name doesn't matter. What matters to this system, the FTI, is which chart we input, and then it analyzes whether it's daily, weekly, or 5 minutes. It recalculates itself, and this is the only system in the world for chart ranking. It tells us whether we're in a bullish or bearish trend. The FTI focuses on the chart input, analyzing if it is daily, weekly, or 5 minutes. It recalculates and is the only system for chart ranking. It indicates if we're in a bullish or bearish trend and ranks it A, B, or C. A is the highest trend rating. Rethinks itself and is also the only system in the world for ranking the chart. Note that first of all, it tells us whether we are in a bullish or bearish trend, and this system also rates us, whether it is an A, B, or C rating. Of course, rating A is the highest rating for the trend we are in. Mobilier, pay attention to it. AMPS, pay attention to it as well. If we pause here for a moment, we'll take the 21 candles. I use 21 or 34 candles for accurate trend analysis. We're at the upper boundary of an upward channel. There's another channel, but FTI provides the most precise one for our time frame. We're rising to break through this tough area. 4.53 is a tough area for AMPS. To the left, it was a key support and resistance area. Now resistance again with an upward trend line. We need a breakout above 4.53 or a pullback to 4.30, maybe 4.20, then continue rising. RM Holdings, known by all. FTI gives more accurate trend lines than I do. If we rise, we'll break this tough area. 4.53 is key for AMPS, a support and resistance zone. With an upward trend, wait for a breakout above 4.53 or a pullback to 4.30. Then rise. RM Holdings. Notice how FTI gives more accurate trend lines. Check the last 34 candles. Trend lines show a downward trend. With an upward trend line, wait for a breakout above 4.53 or a pullback to 4.30. Then rise. RM Holdings is known. FTI provides more accurate trend lines. Examine the last 34 candles. Trend lines show a downward trend, regardless of time frame. Clean the chart. We got a buy signal last Friday, and we're at a B rating in a bullish trend, indicating potential strengthening. Rising above 141, the 50% Fibonacci level. We're heading to 145. You can take this. Let's look at the last 34 candles. Let's see what this will give us here. Pay attention. Trend lines. No matter what time frame we're trading. It's the last 21 candles. The last 34 candles were in a downtrend. Let's clean up the chart a bit. Notice that we received a buy signal last Friday, and we're at a B rating in a bullish trend, which means this trend can still go on and strengthen, continuing to rise above 141, which is also the 50% Fibonacci level. We're on our way to 145. Then 151, and then 158, 159, where there will be very strong resistance for RM Holdings. Of course, the FTI also gives us buy signals and sell signals, providing us with these two labels, green and red. What do they mean? It's very, very simple. Stop losses. If we're currently in a long position on RM, our stop loss should be at 127.39. If we're in a short position, then first of all, the stop would be at 132.78, and it should have already been hit during RM's run on Friday. And of course, it also shows us what's happening in other time frames, which we can also change. If we're trading on lower time frames, we can change that. There are 4 columns here that we can change according to what we want, ranging from 1 second to 12 months. The surprise will be calculated for us without us having to go back and forth between the charts. Amber, not the sauce, but the umbrella. Notice that we took a long position on it at the Fibonacci discount, up 4.64%. It broke through a very strong resistance area of 75.77 from the end of November. That was a very strong resistance. It broke through. We're above the base signal, rating A, bullish trend. There's no need to overthink it. Just take a long position with proper risk management that the FTI provides, with the stop around 73, VRT, vertiv, holding note, B rating in a bullish trend. It held nicely here at 114.2 on Friday. It broke and entered the yellow zone, closing above the 50% Fibonacci level. We're looking at further increases heading towards 130, 136, and even 145. All we need to do is follow the price and manage the stop according to what the FTI tells us. SLQT, select quote, notice the meteoric rise it had here. Did we miss out on all this increase? I say absolutely not. Notice there's a gap in the area. Let's see exactly where it is. We'll mark it. Here, the FTA is already giving it to us at 646. SLQT, select quote, notice the meteoric rise it had here. Did we miss out on all this increase? I'm saying, definitely not yet. Notice there's a gap in the area. Let's see exactly where it is. We'll mark it. Here, the FTA is already giving it to us at 646. 46. Yes, it turns out that the FTI also helps us discover AFs, friends and girlfriends. Everything with the push of a button. And the FTI is on your chart. And once the FTI is on your chart, I'm sure that I'm going to lose followers because you won't need me anymore. And you won't need anyone else to tell you what's happening right now. Because the FTI says it clearly and distinctly. Select with a rating A in a bullish trend. There's resistance here, closed at the daily high of 4.14. It's a very strong resistance area. Further increases, we're heading towards 4.69. We're entering the large gap we just saw, up to 6.46, as over 85 to 90% of all gaps. Close. Work with stops. Stop per FTI at 3.63. GVG and Renovus, 322 and 337 are the supports. 328 and 83 is the stop per FTI. Rating A, bullish trend across all time frames. Wait for a close above 3.5682, then we're on our way to all the future resistances. ALGM, Allegro Microsystems, it broke a strong resistance at 23 on Friday, now at the 24 area, also a very strong resistance. There was support here. 322 and 337 are the supports, 328 and 83 are the stops. According to the FTI rating A, trend bullish on all time frames. All you need to do now, it's waiting for a close above 3.5682, and then we're on our way to all future resistances, which the FTI also calculates for us according to the trend we're currently in. ALGM Allegro Microsystems. Note that a very strong resistance zone broke on Friday at 23. It has now reached zone 24, which is also a very, very strong resistance zone. There was support here. Resistance. We're continuing to rise, and we're on our way to 25. There's also a gap here. In this case, the FTI helps us find a gap at 27.56 VITL. And if you're still here, thank you very much. All I ask in return, I assume that if you're still here, then what you're seeing and hearing appeals to you, and the knowledge and information I'm sharing is beneficial to you. So all I ask in return is a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments below. We saw it all the way to the end. VETL, Vital Farms, 38.59. Now this is the support according to the FTI, 37.51. That's the stop loss. Continuing to rise. Let's take the FTI. For the last 21 trading days, I like to stay as close as possible to the period we're currently in. So I'm working with 21.34. With 21.34, of course, this is subject to change. The further we extend it and let the FTI calculate more candles, it means we're ready to hold what we touch. We give the stock more room, movement, and more breathing space. I like 21 to 34 in the last trades. That's how I work, but of course this can be adjusted for each person according to their risk management and tolerance.
So once again, I do hope you find this
video helpful, educational? If so, like, subscribe, check the links in the description below. Join me today so 2025 will be profitable for all of us. Until the next video, stay safe.